Hello everyone, I'm Cheryl, Eliot Walker, from Accounting for Real. Thank you for joining my channel, Accounting for Real. So today, I'm not going to start out with no accounting information, accounting tutorials, accounting lecture. I want to talk about a few technology trends in the market. I want to look at the 7 biggest trends.
Is artificial intelligence as a service. In lots of my videos, I talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning and how this completely transforming our world. What I see is, and I've just, as you might have seen my most recent book, Artificial Intelligence in Practice, where I look at how 50 companies are now using AI and machine learning in practice. So what we're seeing is companies are starting to apply this technology and it's starting to change our businesses. However, what I see is that lots of businesses still see developing their own AI infrastructure as a really expensive proposition. So what is happening now is that more and more organizations use AI as a service. This basically means I can now go to companies like Google, like Amazon, like Microsoft, and simply say, I would like to apply artificial intelligence to my processes. I've got some data that I can use to train my machine learning algorithms, and they can then supply the algorithms, they can supply the infrastructure, and you simply pay as a service. And this is a massive trend and one that is going to get bigger in 2020. So for me, the first trend, artificial intelligence in general, will make a big impact on businesses. We will get used to working alongside AIs, but in particular, the as a service offering will make a real big difference to companies. Trend number 2 is 5G. This basically is the 5th generation of mobile networks. So this means you've probably seen the evolution from 3G to 4G. Basically has given us faster connectivity on our mobile phones. On 4G, you can now easily watch videos. What 5G will do is it will accelerate this. It will give us speeds that are very similar to what we have in terms of high-speed internet connections into our homes and into our businesses. It will reduce the latency, so everything will be a lot faster, and it will make those connections more reliable. This has huge implications. Not only that we will have mobile phones that are 5G enabled, that can easily stream music and videos, but for businesses, especially connecting machinery for self-driving cars, all of these devices, all these Internet of Things, smart devices need reliable, fast connectivity to push data forwards and backwards from the cloud. And this is and 5G is going to make a massive difference with all of this. What we're currently seeing is that this is starting to be rolled out. So we see this in inner cities of major capitals. We see this in confined areas. But in 2020, we will see much wider coverage, and we will see costs of 5G connectivity going down. So we will have not only better connected mobiles, we'll become much less reliant on fiber connections into our houses and into our homes, and we can simply use the 5G network to have amazingly fast and reliable internet connectivity everywhere and be able to transfer data everywhere. And so what I do as a business futurist is I help businesses understand what this means, and 5G is one area that we're looking at very intensively with lots of businesses, helping them to understand what this means for offering completely new products and services, improving their internal processes, connecting machines, and things like predictive maintenance. So 5G is another massive trend. The third trend to look at is autonomous driving. Again, this is a trend I have spoken about a lot. Lots of my videos talk about the future of transport and autonomous driving. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, has basically said that by the end of 2019, he will have his cars, the Teslas, will be completely autonomous, and hopefully we'll see by 2020 that those cars will be on the road, being able to drive anywhere completely autonomously. Currently, we're still seeing lots of issues around regulation, lots of issues around infrastructure, but if 5G comes along, we won't have those infrastructure issues anymore, and I can see self-driving cars everywhere. When I talk about autonomous driving, it's not just completely self-driving cars, it's also that we'll see an evolution towards that, so steps taken. For example, we now have cars that have lane assistance, so they will watch where you're driving and they help you to switch lanes, and cars that will brake automatically and detect hazards. So this is going to happen more and more. Again, it's not just cars. We now have self-driving ships, self-flying drones, and robot delivery. So where I live in Milton Keynes, we have the Starship robots that now deliver my Amazon parcel, they deliver my local shopping. So we will see more autonomous driving as a massive trend in 2020. My fourth trend for 2020 is predictive and precision medicine. We're currently seeing this complete transformation of healthcare and medicine, where technology is making a really big difference. So recent advances in Internet of Things technology, so smarter devices, in addition to artificial intelligence and some real breakthroughs in genomics, mean that we can now have much more predictive capabilities. Just think about things like the Apple Watch. There was recently an article that the Apple Watch could potentially extend someone's life by 2 years because it can monitor your heart conditions, it can give you warnings. And this is going to happen more and more, that we will have more smart devices helping to monitor us, and we will have the development in genomics that help us to target treatment specifically to you. So the healthcare system, doctors will be able to detect what your genetic makeup is, and then they can find treatments that will work best for you, deliver the best outcomes for you as an individual. And we see massive advances. So again, I've recently written about some of the latest trends in medicine and healthcare, so you can explore this further on my website. My fifth trend for 2020 is computer vision. Again, this has been on my radar for a number of years, but we are seeing real acceleration in this at the moment, where we now have amazing capabilities of machines that are able to recognize what is on the photograph. They can now recognize things in video footage, and obviously we have face recognition capability, which is making a big impact. We now have devices like the latest iPhones that use Face ID, so basically a face recognition, a face scan to allow you to log on in terms of security. But we'll see massively new advances. We've seen this recently in companies that operate in China, some taxi operators, or Didi, the competitor to Uber in China. They're now using face recognition technology in their vehicles to recognize drivers, and for both security purposes and billing purposes. We've seen this in Amazon's trial stores, where they use face recognition technology to monitor who you are, and then what you're buying. So the cameras will watch what you're putting into your shopping bags, and you simply walk out and the system will charge you appropriately. So this is technology that will evolve very fast in 2020, and is something every company needs to watch out for. My sixth trend for 2020 is extended reality. I've recently done a few videos on this, subscribe to the channel if you never want to miss any of these, or head to my website where I have a complete section on extended reality. Basically what we're seeing is 3 different types. We see virtual reality, where we completely immerse ourselves into the digital world using headsets, or we have augmented reality, where we overlay things onto the real world using computer screens or glasses. And we have mixed reality, where we overlay digital object into the real world, like a hologram, and we are able to interact with this. And what we've recently seen is that technology is evolving so fast in this space. So Microsoft has just released their latest HoloLens, a mixed reality headset that is probably leading edge. We're seeing augmented reality being used by companies to try things out. I've recently done a few videos on this, talking about how companies like Rolex are now using this technology to allow you to use your phone screen to basically try out Rolex watches using augmented reality. So this whole idea of try before you buy will make a big impact and will definitely go mainstream in 2020. And my seventh trend for 2020 is blockchain technology. In the news, we hear a lot about Bitcoin and its price going up and down. When I talk about blockchain, I don't necessarily talk about the Bitcoin cryptocurrency. I talk about the business applications of blockchain. And lots of those are probably not traditional blockchains. They're more what I call distributed ledgers. So they're not completely distributed, but they're run by a number of companies. So we have the benefits of blockchain technology, but not necessarily some of the downsides. And what we've seen in this year is that companies like FedEx and companies like Walmart and MasterCard are heavily investing into blockchain technology. And then, of course, in 2020, we will see the launch of Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency coin. Again, a collaboration with other organizations like Uber and Spotify that will all be part of this. So we will see blockchain technology as a major technology trend. And again, on my website, you can find tons of articles explaining all the background on blockchain, on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies if you're interested in this, or browse my channel where I have lots of examples on this too. So those are my 7 trends. Hopefully they're useful. I believe very much that every business and every individual really needs to get to grips with these 7 trends to be ready for 20.
I used to manage my team with spreadsheets. It was a nightmare. And then we switched to Monday.com. Monday.com is a platform to track everything your team is working on. We use it for all our projects: marketing, product development, HR, creative productions. It gives a sense of everything falling into place. Seriously, if you manage a team, you need to use Monday.com.
So I'm going to check on some more trends. I'm going to check out these trends.
If you write anything on your computer, you need to get Grammarly.
I write pretty much all day, every day, and Grammarly makes my writing better.
The writer George Eliot cautioned us that among all forms of mistake, prophecy is the most gratuitous. The person that we would all acknowledge as her 20th century counterpart, Yogi Berra, agreed. He said, it's tough to make predictions, especially about the future. I'm going to ignore their cautions and make one very specific forecast. In the world that we are creating very quickly, we're going to see more and more things that look like science fiction and fewer things that look like jobs. Our cars are very quickly going to start driving themselves, which means we're going to need fewer truck drivers. We're going to hook Siri up to Watson and use that to automate a lot of the work that's currently done by customer service reps and troubleshooters and diagnosers. And we're already taking R2-D2, painting him orange, and putting him to work carrying shelves around warehouses, which means we need a lot fewer people to be walking up and down those aisles. Now, for about 200 years, people have been saying exactly what I'm telling you, that the age of technological unemployment is at hand, starting with the Luddites smashing looms in Britain just about 2 centuries ago. And they have been wrong. Our economies in the developed world have coasted along on something pretty close to full employment, which brings up the critical question, why is this time different if it really is? The reason it's different is that just in the past few years, our machines have started demonstrating skills they have never, ever had before. Understanding, speaking, hearing, seeing, answering, writing, and they're still acquiring new skills. For example, mobile humanoid robots are still incredibly primitive, but the research arm of the Defense Department just launched a competition to have them do things like this. And if the track record is any guide, this competition is going to be successful. So when I look around, I think the day is not too far off at all when we're going to have androids doing a lot of the work that we are doing right now. And we're creating a world where there is going to be more and more technology and fewer jobs. It's a world that Eric Brynjolfsson and I are calling the new machine age. The thing to keep in mind is that this is absolutely great news. This is the best economic news on the planet these days. Not that there's a lot of competition, right? This is the best economic news we have these days for two main reasons. The first is technological progress is what allows us to continue this amazing recent run that we're on, where output goes up over time, while at the same time, prices go down, and volume and quality just continue to explode. Now, some people look at this and talk about shallow materialism, but that's absolutely the wrong way to look at it. This is abundance, which is exactly what we want our economic system to provide. The second reason that the new machine age is such great news is that once the androids start doing jobs, we don't have to do them anymore, and we get freed up from drudgery and toil. Now, when I talk about this with my friends in Cambridge and Silicon Valley, they say, fantastic, no more drudgery, no more toil. This gives us the chance to imagine an entirely different kind of society. A society where the creators and the discoverers and the performers and the innovators come together with their patrons and their financiers to talk about issues, entertain, enlighten, provoke each other. It's a society really that looks a lot like the TED conference. And there's actually a huge amount of truth here. We are seeing an amazing flourishing taking place in a world where it is just about as easy to generate an object as it is to print a document. We have amazing new possibilities. The people who used to be craftsmen and hobbyists are now makers, and they're responsible for massive amounts of innovation. And artists who were formerly constrained can now do things that were never, ever possible for them before. So this is a time of great flourishing. And the more I look around, the more convinced I become that this quote from the physicist Freeman Dyson is not hyperbole at all. This is just a plain statement of facts. We are in the middle of an astonishing period. Which brings up another great question. What could possibly go wrong in this new machine? Right? Great. Hang up, flourish, go home. We're going to face two really thorny sets of challenges as we head deeper into the future that we're creating. The first are economic, and they're really nicely summarized in an apocryphal story about a back and forth between Henry Ford II and Walter Reuther, who was the head of the auto workers.
Okay.
They were touring one of the new modern factories, and Ford playfully turns to Reuther and says, "Hey, Walter, how do you use robots?"
All right, that's enough. We just want to show you a few little technology devices, from YouTube, and also I think another technological advances. Uber. I think they're going to be coming out with their flying cars, and let me see. And then I think Uber's going to come out with their flying cars. They showed it on the news. I saw it a few days ago. And then also iPhone. Apple has a new iPhone. I think it's going to be coming out next month. They say they're going to be a little cheaper. So I guess they probably will not do as many things as the other iPhone. I think what they have, an iPhone 10 or iPhone 11. So I think they say this one is going to be similar to, I believe, the iPhone 8. So it's going to be, I think they said it's going to be like $299 or $399. So that's a good thing. So that is it for the technology right now. So what I want to do to also is instead of getting into a little accounting, I want to get into a little medical terminology. something that I have known, essential medical terminology. So first I want to get into, in other words, we'll talk about the different systems that our body has, each of us. We have the skeletal system, the muscular system, cardiovascular system, blood, lymphatic and immune systems, respiratory system, digestive system. We have the endocrine system, urinary system, reproductive system. Reproductive system when women have, your eggs and your ovaries and all that. Women have the children, childbirth. So reproductive. Then you have the nervous system. All the nerves in your body, and documentary system, excretory system, and the circulatory system. The circulatory system, you're dealing with your, your blood, how your blood circulates, blood rotating around from your kidneys to your heart to your, throughout your body. But I'm going to get into the book. Okay, the first. I want to talk about the first system is the skeletal system. We had the skeletal system, okay. Okay, let's talk about the skeletal system. In the skeletal system, this is just a picture that they have. This is just a picture of one of the bones in the body. This is the, it says function of the skeletal system. Okay, the functions of the skeletal system. The skeletal system provides support for the body framework, protects internal organs. For example, the ribs protect the contents of the thoracic cavity. Provides movement of the body. So in other words, your bones provide movement through the attachment of ligaments, tendons, and muscles. The bones serve as a reservoir for minerals, particularly calcium and phosphorus. So our bones, that are calcium, phosphorus. I mean, this is a good book right here that I really should have gotten into it long before now. And it functions in blood cell formation. So in other words, then you have your long bones, your short bones, your sesamoid bones, flat bones, irregular bones. Okay, your long bones are longer than they are wide. They are longer than they are wide. They have a shaft and two ends. Examples, humerus and a femur. Okay, then we have the short bones. Short bones are almost as long as they are wide. They can also be described as cube-shaped. Example, your wrist and your ankle bones. Okay, your wrist and your ankle bones, they're called the short bones. Then the long bones, your humerus and your femur. Then we have the sesamoid bones, a special kind of short bones. Example, your patella. Then we have the flat bones, flat, thin, and sometimes curved. Examples, your ribs and your sternum and your breastbone. So those are called your flat bones. Your breastbone and your thin. Your flat bones are flat, thin, and sometimes curved. So those are your ribs and your breastbone, which the sternum is called a breastbone. Then we have the irregular bones. Have various shapes and do not fit into the other categories. The vertebrae. That's an example of the irregular bones. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we have the frontal, planes of the body and directional terms. We have the frontal or coronal plane, divide the body into front and back portions. The sagittal plane divides the body into left and right sections, dividing the body into upper and lower sections, which they call the transverse plane or axial plane. Now we have the skeletal system. The skeletal system, axial and appendicular. The skeletal system is divided into two sections. The axial skeleton is made up of the spinal column, skull, and rib cage. So you have your spinal column, your skull, and your rib cage. And that is the axial, which is the spinal column. Then we have the appendicular skeleton. It's comprised of the bones of the arms. You have your arms, your hands, your legs, and your feet, shoulders, and pelvis. That's called the appendicular skeleton. Okay, the axial skeleton, the skull, the axial skeleton, the skull, which is the bony structure of the head, consists of the cranium and facial bones. You got your facial bones, cranium and your facial bones, and that is the skull. So the skull, which is the bony structure of the head, consists of the cranium and facial bones. The cranium consists of bones that are actually fused together. It works to protect the brain from injury. So in other words, our bones are there to protect a lot of the organs in our body, our brain, and probably our kidneys and heart and everything. That's why we have our rib bones. That's what it says here. As you learn about the cranial and facial bones, or it's telling you to look at the figure 2.3. It says the frontal bone or forehead acts as protection for the eyes. Oh, so the frontal bones or the forehead acts as protection for your eyes. So all these bones up here protecting the eyes. Oh, some good stuff to learn. And then we have the temporal bones form the lower sides of the head. There is a temporal bone on each side of the head. The occipital bone forms the back and base of the head. The facial bones consist of the maxilla, mandible, and zygomatic bones. The maxilla is the upper jawbone, and the mandible is the lower jawbone. So you got your upper jawbone and your lower. So that is called the maxilla and the mandible. Oh, here's a picture. This is a picture of, so that's a picture of the temporal bone, parietal bone, coronal structure, and frontal bone. And this is the cranial bones. I guess this is the bone, different bones in the cranial, in the brain, the skull, I guess. And then we have the frontal bone, the different ones. So this is some good stuff to research on, read up on. Another section of the axial skeleton is the spinal column or vertebral column. The bones of the vertebral column support the head and help to keep our body erect. The vertebral column, which protects the spinal cord, is divided into 5 sections. As you learn about the bones of the vertebral column, refer to figure 2.4. The spinal column begins with the first 7 vertebrae in the neck, which are called the cervical vertebrae. So here were the cervical vertebrae, thoracic vertebrae, cervical curve. So that's what it looked like. So this is a nice one because I was taking a medical assistant course one time. I didn't finish, but I still had the book. This is a book with some nice terms in it. Essential medical terminology. Okay, now we have the appendicular skeleton. Bones of the hands, arms, and shoulders. The bones of the arms consist of one upper arm bone and 2 lower arm bones. The humerus is the upper arm bone. You got your upper arm bone, and the lower arm bones are the radius. And ulnar, the little finger. The ulnar is the little finger side. I guess the little bones in your fingers. The bones of the hands. The bones of the hand consist of the wrist bone. You got your wrist bone called the carpals. There are 8 wrist bones. That's probably why they call it the carpal tunnel, because it's the carpal bones. There are 8 wrist bones. Wow. I would never have known. The bones in the palm of the hand are called the metacarpals. Bones in the palm of your hand are called the metacarpals. There are 5 metacarpals. The bones of the fingers are called phalanges. The bones of the fingers are called phalanges. Each individual section is called a phalanx. There are 3 phalanx sections to each finger and toe. The exception is the thumb and great toe, which have only 2 phalanges. Okay, the shoulder bones consist of the clavicle, also called the collarbone, and the scapula, also called the shoulder blade. So this is what the shoulder blade looks like. So see your fingers, all the different bones in your finger. You have the distal phalanx, proximal phalanx, and metatarsal. These are all the bones in your fingers. That's the bones in your fingers, and this is your, I guess your clavicle, your collarbone, shoulder bones. These are the shoulder bones. Shoulders, I guess this is the shoulder leading down to your hand. All the bones right there. All the bones in your fingers. Okay, then we have, just going to show a few, then I'll get back with the rest of them later. Okay, bones of the legs and the feet. We have bones of the legs and feet. The longest bone in the body is the femur, also called the thigh bone. The lower leg consists of 2 bones. So your lower leg, 2 bones. The tibia and the fibula. The tibia, also referred to as the shin bone, is the larger of the lower leg bones. The fibula is a smaller, slender bone of the lower leg. The patella or kneecap protects the structures inside the knee. Also, your kneecap protects the structures inside the knee. This is some very interesting. This is good to know. There's nothing wrong with learning about your body. I always want to learn all about, different parts of the body. How your heart functions, the things you need to do to keep it healthy, and your lungs, your kidneys, all the different parts of your body. We all should know that. So I thought I'd bring a little bit of this here today. So then we have the ankle and the foot bones function to bear the full weight of our bodies as we move about each day. Ankle and the foot bones. Just think, your bones in your, because your bones in your feet are what keep you being able to move around. The ankle and foot bones function to bear the full weight of our bodies as we move about each day. The ankle bones are called the tarsals. There are 7 ankle bones. Wow, 7 ankle bones. The largest is the calcaneus or heel bone. The bones of the foot are called the metatarsals, just like the finger bones. The bones of the toes are called the phalanges. Then we come over here, we got the pelvic bones. We got bones up in our pelvis. The pelvic bones provide structure for the hip region. And then we have the fractures. Skeletal system abnormalities and the treatment of its disorders fall under a branch of medicine called orthopedics. So this is the iliac crest and the ilium. So this is the pelvic girdle. I guess it's the pelvic. So that must be the pelvic inside, the bones inside the pelvic. So then we have, with a green stick fracture, the bone may crack under pressure, but not break entirely. The break is incomplete. So let's see what we have. Okay, that's the end of that. Then we have the muscular system. Okay, so in other words, I just went over the skeletal system. Let me see how many bones we have in our body. I think it's 200 and something bones, I believe. I read it. I don't see it now, but I saw it. I saw it over here. I think we have 200 some bones in our body altogether. We got the pelvic bone. We have bones in our leg and our feet and our pelvic bones, bones in our fingers, our shoulder bones, bones in our face. Okay, the bones in our head, our forehead protects our eyes. So it's some good stuff to know. Okay, let's go to the muscular system. We have the muscular system. Okay, just a couple more of these. Okay, the first major muscle type in the body is the skeletal muscle. This muscle attaches to the bones of the skeleton. The skeletal muscles are also known as voluntary muscles because it is the person's conscious effort that moves them. The voluntary muscles that are not attached to the skeleton and are not skeletal muscles provide movement of the face, eyes, tongue, and pharynx. Okay, face, eyes, tongue, and pharynx. Skeletal muscles can also be referred to as striated muscles because when you look at them in a laboratory setting, they will have a striped appearance. So, blood vessels, the bones, the tendons. So this is what the structure of a skeletal muscle. Structure of a skeletal muscle. So, movement of the muscles occurs as you have learned, either voluntarily by the person's own effort or involuntarily by the automatic nervous system. Remember, when muscle movement occurs, one of the attached bones will move more freely than the other. Muscles are attached to bones in such a way in the body that allows movement to occur when the muscles contract and relax. So in other words, muscles are attached to bones in your body. And then when the muscles contract and relax. Contraction again means the shortening of the muscle pulling on the bone that is attached to. And relaxation means the lengthening, lengthening of the muscle, returning it to its original position. So, excuse me. Okay. Okay, here's a whole picture of the anterior muscle. Anterior muscles. So we have the masseter, sternocleidomastoid, and these names, the names you never heard of. So that's what these are. Anterior muscles. Anterior muscles. So, okay, then we have the cardiovascular system. Okay, cardiovascular system. So I assume this is an internal view. This is the internal view of the heart. See, internal view of the heart. So we have here the aorta, pulmonary arteries, left atrium, mitral valve, aortic valve, left ventricle, pulmonary veins, right there, pulmonary veins. So these are all parts of the heart. Right atrium, tricuspid valve, and the right ventricle. So, that looks like something we can draw. Circulation of blood through the heart. Let's read this. Movement of blood through blood vessels throughout the body is called circulation. So in other words, your blood flowing through your blood vessels. Pulmonary circulation is the circulation between the heart and the lungs. Pulmonary circulation is circulation between the heart and the lungs. Systematic circulation is the circulation of blood between the heart and the rest of the body. As you learn about the circulation of blood into and out of the heart, refer to figure 4.3. The atria, as you recall, are the upper chambers of the heart muscle. Upper chambers of the heart muscle. The right atrium receives waste-filled blood through two largest veins in the body. See, the right atrium receives waste-filled blood through two largest veins in the body. I had to read that again. The superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. The right atrium contracts, thus allowing blood to push through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. See, the right atrium contracts, thus allowing the blood to push through the tricuspid valve. The tricuspid valve has three cuffs or flaps, which allow the blood to flow in one direction. The Charday tendonae, which are strong fibrous bands attach the corners of the heart valves to the muscles of the lower heart chambers. This prevents the valves from protruding into the atria as the heart beats. This prevents, as the ventricles contract, the pulmonary muscles, which are attached to the undersurfaces of the valve cuffs, also contract, pulling upon the valve. This in turn allows the blood to flow from the right atria into the right ventricle. Right ventricular contraction causes blood to flow through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery. See, right ventricular contraction causes blood to, so as the ventricular contracts, it causes the blood to flow through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery, then into the lungs. So it flows through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery, pulmonary valve, the pulmonary artery, then into the lungs. In the lungs, the waste-filled blood is exchanged for oxygen-rich blood. So we call it oxygenated blood. This process is called oxygenation. This oxygen-rich blood is returned to the heart by means of the pulmonary vein. So the pulmonary vein empties the oxygen blood into the left atrium. Contraction of this heart chamber causes blood to be pushed through the bicuspid or mitral valve into the left ventricle. Left ventricular contraction causes the aortic valve to open, pushing blood into the aorta. The aorta, which is the largest artery in the body, branches into other arteries. So the aorta, the largest artery in the body, branches into other arteries. Okay, they in turn distribute the oxygen-rich blood to the rest of the body. Oxygen-rich blood to the rest of the body from the aorta. That's the largest artery in the body, aorta. So this is a picture of the heart. This is what it looks like. Okay, blood pressure and related cardiovascular system terms. Blood pressure is the term used when referring to pressure placed on the walls of the heart, arteries, and veins as blood is circulating through the body. So blood circulating through the body, it's the pressure on the heart, arteries, and the veins as it goes through your body. That's why they call it blood pressure. They use a stethoscope. Right here you got a spigomanometer and a stethoscope. It's a cuff that's placed on either the arm or the leg. It has an air tube that is inflated and a gauge that shows the amount of pressure against the arteries. The stethoscope is an instrument used to hear the flow of blood through an artery as the pressure is released from the momentometer. It's a long word. This word has 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16 letters. Cardiovascular system disorders and treatments. Okay, and then we have the this is another system, but I'm not going to read all these. This is the blood, lymphatic, and immune system. Okay, in other words, it says blood is the fluid that circulates and pumps through the heart, arteries, veins, and capillaries. The blood is made up of plasma, or the liquid straw-colored part of the blood and blood cells. While the blood is supplying the oxygen and nutrients to the cells of the body, another function removes carbon dioxide and other waste products from the cells in all parts of the body. This process allows for a normal and balanced internal system. A corpuscle is any red or white blood cell. So that's the blood. It says for the cells of the body to perform their normal functions, they are dependent on a steady supply of oxygen, nutrients, and essential chemicals, and this is the function of the blood. For the cells of the body to perform their normal functions, they are dependent on a steady supply of oxygen, nutrients, and essential chemicals. So that comes from the blood. Then we have then you have your blood types. It says an individual blood can be categorized as belonging to one of 4 blood types. Antigen or agglutinogen is a substance present on the surface of the red blood cell. Antibodies, the antigen then stimulates the body to make antibodies. And this is a picture of, this is just a picture of it showing how blood circulates. I guess the red is the blood, I guess. Okay. So I'll pat it. This is the tonsil. This is it. It's showing you the inside of the mouth. You know, the inside of the tonsils inside the mouth. Tonsils. I know a few people had to have their tonsils pulled out. Take it out, whatever. Then we had the respiratory system. The respiratory system works through the processes of inspiration and expiration. Inspiration occurs when air, which has an oxygen concentration, is drawn, 21% is drawn into the body and eventually into the lungs. Expiration occurs when the carbon dioxide is exhaled or breathed out from the body. The respiratory system provides a means for oxygen to reach the cells of the body. The respiratory system is a means to remove carbon dioxide, a waste product, from the cells of the body. So the respiratory system removes carbon dioxide, waste product from the body, and also it is a respiratory system that provides a means for oxygen to reach the cells of the body. So oxygen has to get through your cells and through your blood, as it comes to your heart, circulates from your heart to your lungs. The respiratory system acts as a filter to keep foreign material out of the lungs. The respiratory system helps with the formation of sounds that are necessary for speech. The respiratory system helps with the formation of sounds that are necessary for speech. This occurs primarily during exhalation. Passage of air through the respiratory system. So this is a picture of So this is a picture of the respiratory system. This is the trachea, the bronchi, the lung, the right lung, and the left lung. Taking us back to medical school, y'all. Taking us back to medical school. Okay, let's see what we have. And then we also had the digestive system. Digestive system. Okay, the digestive system. The digestive system. See how food goes from the mouth. Food goes to the this is the mouth, the tongue, the pharynx. It goes down to the esophagus, liver, or your liver. Okay, your liver. So in other words, we still have to watch what we eat because as our food goes down, it's going to pass the liver too. Your liver, so you got your mouth, your tongue, your pharynx, your esophagus, your stomach. So in other words, your liver is right side by side from your stomach. So that is something. And then we have the large intestine, the rectum, small intestine, pancreas. Yeah, so we have to watch what we eat because our liver is right here, and then we have our stomach right across from that. See, the process of digestion. When we eat, we take food in through the mouth. The teeth chew the food, breaking it down into smaller pieces. The salivary glands moisten the food with saliva, and the tongue then pushes the food to the back of the throat, and it travels down the esophagus through swallowing. This is when peristalsis occurs, moving the food down to the stomach. The stomach, as you have learned, is a temporary storage area for the food. Breaking it down, it mixes with the gastric juices, forms into chyme, and passes the contents to the small intestine. Except for alcohol, little food absorption occurs in the stomach. It is in the small intestine that the completion of the food digestion occurs by the breakdown of the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. The nutrients then can be absorbed here and are sent into the bloodstream. The food products that are indigestible are then passed to the large intestine where water is absorbed. Mucus is secreted and digestive waste is excreted through defecation. So in other words, the process of digestion. In other words, once we eat our food, we take it in through the mouth, we chew the food with our teeth, and the food is broken down into smaller pieces, and it goes past the salivary glands. The salivary glands moisten the food. Then the tongue pushes it to the back of our mouth. It travels down. Once the tongue pushes it, our tongue pushes it to the back of our mouth. Then the esophagus pushes it. It travels down the esophagus through swallowing, and then that's when the peristalsis occurs. Moving the food to the stomach. So it moves on down to the stomach, and the stomach, as you learned, is a temporary storage area for the food. Breaking it down with gastric juices, forms into chyme and passes the contents to the small intestine. Okay. So from the stomach, it goes to the small intestine, and it's a small intestine that the completion of the food digestion occurs by the breakdown of the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. The nutrients then can be absorbed here and are sent into the bloodstream. So once it comes from so that's why they tell us it's so important, because you never thought the food would go through your bloodstream. So it says, in other words, once it goes to the small intestine, then it's sent into our bloodstream. The food products that are indigestible are then passed to the large intestine. Okay, from the small intestine to the bloodstream, and then to the large intestine, where water is absorbed, mucus is secreted, and digestive waste is excreted through defecation, and then it comes out. So in other words, it's like a process all the way down from your you chew your food, you put it in your mouth, your teeth chew it up, and it goes past the esophagus. Then it's going through the small intestine, it's going through the bloodstream, then it's going back to the large intestine, and then it's going on down for as waste, and it's coming out in defecation. So that's why it's important to come out. That waste has to come out. Oh, this is nice. This is some nice information. And then we have the endocrine system. Then we have the endocrine system. Okay. We have the endocrine system, pituitary gland, thyroid glands, thymus. Okay. Look, we have the adrenal glands are two small glands located on top of each kidney. The outer portion of the adrenal gland and the adrenal medulla is the inner portion of the adrenal gland, referred to figure 8.6. Okay, then we have the urinary system. So I'll probably go back over a lot of this later, but we have the urinary. The urinary system is made up of two kidneys, two ureters, the urinary bladder, and the urethra. Working together, the structures of the urinary system are responsible for the elimination of waste from the body. Another function is to regulate the balance of fluids and electrolytes, which consists of water, salts, and acids. This state of balance and stable internal environment is referred to as homeostasis. The kidneys have the role of filtering the blood by removing the waste products such as uric acid, and creatinine from the body system and producing urine. So the kidneys have the role of filtering the blood by removing the waste products such as, also in other words, the kidneys filter the blood by removing waste products and then producing the urine. So in other words, it filters the blood, and I guess it basically seems like it cleans out your kidneys. So once it produces urine, then you have to let it out. That's like waste too. Urine is 95% water and 5% waste product, and is a liquid form of waste in the body. Of course, we never knew that. See, the urine is passed from each kidney by the two ureters to the urinary bladder, which is a storage reservoir for the urine. So in other words, the urinary bladder is the storage reservoir for the urine. So this is what the kidney looks like. That's what the kidney looks like. So that's what the kidney looks like. Then we have the reproductive system. So the reproductive system, women and men have physical differences in their reproductive system, both internally and externally. Gynecology is the study of diseases and disorders of the female reproductive system. Medical specialist for this field is called a gynecologist. Okay, I think that was the last. Oh no, then we have the nervous system. We have the nervous system. See, when learning the nervous system, think of the way electrical wiring is placed in the home. It involves strategic placement of the wires so that in your home environment, lights, for example, can work with a touch of a switch. If one wire is defective, it can change things in a minute. This is how the nervous system in the body works. It's very delicate and has to do with our total body movements and activities of daily life. If one nerve is defective, it can change a person's ability to function on his or her own. Then you have the central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomic nervous system. Okay, the brain is one of the largest organs in the adult body and weighs about 3 pounds. The parts of the brain are as follows. We got the cerebellum, brainstem, midbrain, medulla oblongata, thalamus. Okay. I think this is, now we have integumentary system and special senses. Okay. Okay, the integumentary system and special senses, the skin functions in several ways. The protective covering for the entire body. A sensory organ allowing us to experience pain, temperature, pressure, and touch. Regulation of body temperature from excessive heat through the excretion of a watery substance from the sweat glands, which are located under the skin. Excretion of body waste, primarily perspiration, sweat, and salt. Okay, this is the epidermis cross section. Structures of the eye and the ear. I think that was the last. Yeah, that was the last. Now this is that's a good book. Essential. So okay, class. So that's the last. That was the last system. In other words, we had the skeletal system, the muscular system, cardiovascular, blood, lymphatic, and immune system, respiratory system, digestive system, endocrine system, urinary system, reproductive system, nervous system, integumentary system, excretory system, and a circulatory system. Okay, these are just all the systems in our body. So later on, I will probably review those systems again. But class, I want to say thanks for joining me today. And my usual, my mouth gets a little dry when I get, doing a little talking. So this is my lava. And I want to say thanks for joining me today. And remember your initial accounting equation: assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. And that's on the balance sheet. Then we have revenues minus expenses on the income statement. So in my previous video, I was talking about building an accounting information system. So in other words, I was saying that I just imagine, hypothetically, I have a business and I have 5 or 6 buildings and I have 100 offices, and I need a network of professionals to build me an accounting information system in each office. And then I was talking about whether or not I wanted it to be wireless or wired. So those are the things that you need to talk about. A person needs to talk about, if you are a business owner, or even if you are a manager working for a big corporation or a small corporation or whatever. So those are the things that you would, talk about with the owner or upper management. So building an accounting information system. So as I said in my previous video, managers within an organization need that pertinent information. They need that information system. They need that accounting information system, so they can keep up with the trends in the market, keep up with what the competitors are doing, keep up with the customers, keep up with employees, customers, suppliers, manufacturers. So information is very vital. So you have to have that proper, pertinent, accurate, reliable, and on-time information coming into your organization. So managers deal with the information within the organization so they can make their decisions And then we have we have financial accounting, because we have managerial accounting, where managers have to deal with the information within the organization so they can make their decisions. So they have to make proper, informed, I would say informed, accurate, efficient, effective decisions. And then financial accounting, they deal with outside information. Your SECs, your banks, your credit unions. So financial accounting, your auditors. So they need information too as well. So class, I want to say thanks for joining me today, and just keep on practicing your debits and credits, your balance sheets. Just do a trial, like a trial balance. Work on some trial balances, income statements, balance sheets, statements of owner's equity. So I might do, in my next video, I'll probably do some of those, do some more of those. But I just wanted to show you at the beginning of this video some of the trends in technology that because I was, running. Sometimes I look at YouTube as well, and I was just looking at the trends in technology that, some of the videos on YouTube had offered. So I just showed you that at the beginning of this video, and then I talked about some of the essential medical terminology that is good for all of us to learn. We all need to know about the parts of our bodies so we can know how they work, why they're not functioning right, or how they function, or whatever questions you had with the parts of your body. You have your circulatory system, your skeletal system, your muscular system, your cardiovascular, discretionary, digestive system. And so, class, I want to say thanks for joining me today, and I'll hope to see you back here, same place, same channel. I want to see you back here, my next video. So, I want to say, everybody, have a good one.